My name is Emily Carter, and I never thought the most painful sentence I'd ever hear would come from my own mother. But here it is, the moment everything in my life flipped on its head. She stood in front of me with her arms crossed, eyes cold, and said, "Your sister is coming with her 2 kids to live with us, so you need to leave." Before diving into the story, comment where you're watching from and don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss the latest stories. At first, I laughed. I genuinely believed she was joking. "Mom, really?" I said. But she didn't crack a smile. Instead, she stepped closer and repeated, slower this time, "I'm serious. Pack your things. Sarah needs the space more than you do. You're young. You'll figure something out." That was the moment a sharp, painful truth hit me harder than anything before. To my own mother, I was disposable. For years, I had convinced myself that the inequality in our home didn't matter, that the favoritism was just in my head, that I was being dramatic. But hearing her call me a burden, hearing her say I needed to leave my own home so her favorite daughter could move in with her kids, made everything painfully clear. My sister Sarah has always been the chosen one. Growing up, she got the new clothes while I wore her old ones. She got praise for average grades. I got silence for straight A's. She got forgiven instantly every time she messed up. I, on the other hand, could breathe wrong, and somehow it turned into a lecture. And still, even after all of that, I stayed. I helped. I worked 2 jobs and paid rent when my mom needed it. I cleaned the house, cooked dinners, and covered bills when money ran tight. But none of that mattered to her.
Not when Sarah needed something.
I stood there, stunned. "Mom, I pay rent. I help you." She rolled her eyes. "Emily, please. You barely pay anything. Honestly, having you here is more of a burden than a help." A burden. That word cut deeper than anything I had ever felt before. I didn't argue further, because what was the point? You can't make someone value you. You can't convince someone to see your worth if they've already decided you don't have any. That night, I lay awake in my bed, staring at the ceiling. The house was quiet, but inside my chest, I felt this heavy ache, like something inside me had cracked open. I kept hearing the same sentence replay. "You need to leave." Around 3 a.m., something inside me shifted. I stopped crying. My breathing steadied, and a strange, cold clarity washed over me. If she wanted me gone so badly, then she was about to get exactly what she asked for. But not in the way she expected. At 7 a.m., my mom left to pick up my sister and her kids from the airport. I sat on the couch, listening to her shoes click across the floor. She didn't even look at me before she closed the door behind her. The moment her car pulled out of the driveway, I got to work. I called a locksmith. Then I packed my things, my clothes, my books, my old childhood memories that still mattered to me. I moved quickly, not because I was scared of being caught, but because every minute I stayed in that house felt heavier than the last. When the locksmith arrived, he gave me a confused look. "So, changing the locks on your own place?" he asked. "Something like that," I said. "Just tired of people walking all over me." He nodded like he'd heard this story 1,000 times. "Good for you. People think they can treat family however they want." That simple sentence hit deeper than he knew. Once the new deadbolt was installed, he handed me 2 shiny keys. Holding them felt surreal. Like for the first time in years, I finally had control over something in my life. I placed the keys in my pocket, took one last walk through the house, and whispered to myself, "You don't get to hurt me anymore." I loaded the final box into my car. I didn't slam the trunk. I didn't storm out. I left calmly, quietly, because sometimes the loudest revenge is silence. By the time I drove away, the sun was rising, casting this soft glow over the street. And for the first time in a long time, I felt free. I didn't know where I was going exactly. I didn't know what the next chapter of my life would look like. But I knew one thing. My mother expected me to crawl back. She expected me to fail. She expected me to come begging. But what was waiting for her instead was the cold surprise of a locked door. Because in a few hours, she would realize she could no longer control me. And soon after that, she would start calling me in a panic. And I would finally finally have the power she never let me have. I parked my car outside a small coffee shop a few miles away, letting the engine cool while my mind raced. I wasn't scared. I wasn't guilty. I was strangely calm, sipping a cheap latte while waiting for the inevitable phone call I knew was coming.
My mom's flight should have landed by now.
She and Sarah would be driving back, excited to settle into their home. My former room cleared out, my things packed, and the locks changed. It didn't take long. At exactly 10:42 a.m., my phone lit up with her name. I let it ring. Then it rang again. And again. And again. By the 15th missed call, I finally picked up, mostly because I wanted to hear what she had to say. The moment I answered, her voice erupted through the speaker, high-pitched and frantic. "Emily, where are you? What did you do? I can't get inside the house." I leaned back in the chair, taking another slow sip. "Oh, really? That's strange," I said calmly. "Don't play stupid with me," she snapped. "The locks are changed. Why would you do something so childish? I told you to leave, not to sabotage the house." I almost laughed. Sabotage? This woman really had a way with twisting the narrative. "Mom," I said softly, "I didn't sabotage anything. You told me to leave. So I left." "Then why can't I get in?" "Because I changed the locks," I replied. "So you can't use any of my things. So you can't dump your stuff on me. So you can't treat me like furniture you can move around. That house had my name on the lease too, remember? You can't kick me out of a place I'm legally responsible for." Her voice dropped to an angry whisper. "Emily, your sister is standing here with her kids. They're tired. They need to get inside." I shrugged, even though she couldn't see me. "And what does that have to do with me? You made your decision. Now I've made mine." There was a beat of silence, then a shaky breath. "Where are you? Come here right now, and give me the key." "No," I said simply. The silence on her end sharpened. "What did you say?" I said no. "You wanted me gone. So I'm gone. And the house is locked because I don't live there anymore. Emily, stop this right now. I am your mother." "Exactly," I said. "You're my mother. You're not my owner." She started yelling again, accusing me of being dramatic, ungrateful, selfish. Every word she'd thrown at me for years was suddenly on full volume. I held the phone away from my ear until I heard Sarah's voice enter the background, demanding, "What's going on? Why are we still outside?" I ended the call. A minute later, Sarah texted me, "Grow up, Emily. This isn't funny." I didn't even bother replying. Their choices weren't my responsibility anymore. I sat in that coffee shop for another hour, just breathing, feeling lighter than I had in years. For the first time, my life wasn't about sacrificing myself to fix their chaos.
It was about me.
And that realization alone felt like freedom. Eventually, I checked into a small month-to-month rental apartment nearby. It wasn't fancy, tiny kitchen, creaky floors, old carpet, but it was mine.
My space. My peace.
I unpacked my clothes, set up a mattress on the floor, and sat there surrounded by quiet. It felt strange not hearing footsteps, arguments, or my mother calling my name every 5 minutes. Strange, but good. I thought maybe things would settle down after that. Maybe my mother would cool off. Maybe Sarah would step in and talk sense into her. Maybe they'd accept that I was moving on. But the next morning, the real chaos began. Another call, then another, and then a text message that made me sit up straight. "Emily, we can't stay in the house. The realtor said we can't change anything with the locks without your approval. You're on the lease. They said nothing can be done unless you show up. Come now."
Oh.
So that's what this was really about. Not love, not family, not reconciliation.
Control.
They wanted me there, so I could keep the house running for their benefit. I didn't reply. That afternoon, there was a knock on my apartment door.
Loud.
Impatient.
Familiar.
I didn't need to open it to know who it was. My mother's voice came muffled through the door. "Emily, open this door. You are embarrassing us. Your sister and the kids are sitting outside the house with nowhere to go." I stayed silent. You are doing this on purpose, she barked. You told me to leave, I said finally through the door. So I left. Now you deal with the consequences. This is not what I meant. Maybe next time, I said calmly. Say what you mean. She groaned in frustration, rattling the doorknob like she thought I'd panic. I didn't. Not anymore. This isn't over, she yelled before storming off. But the truth was, for the first time in my life, it was over. I had finally broken the cycle. The next days were quiet, except for the guilt-tripping voicemails, the dramatic texts, the fake apologies followed by more insults. But each time, I felt less affected, less tied to them, less guilty for choosing myself. What I didn't know was that things were about to escalate. Not because of me, but because the house my mother forced me to leave was about to fall apart in ways she never expected. And she would come back to me again. Not with anger this time, but with desperation. 3 days passed before things took a sharp turn. I was making breakfast in my small apartment, scrambled eggs, nothing special, when my phone buzzed nonstop. At first, I ignored it. I had learned that every call from my mother came with drama wrapped in guilt. But when the 6th call came within 2 minutes, curiosity got the best of me. I answered, expecting yelling. Instead, I heard panic. Emily, something's wrong with the house. I sat down slowly. What do you mean something's wrong? There's water everywhere, she said, her voice trembling. The basement is flooded. The kitchen pipe burst. We didn't notice until this morning. Everything is soaked. And the landlord said, he can't come inside without you. There it was again. My leverage. The part of the lease that said all tenants had equal authority. Call a plumber, I said calmly. We did, she snapped. But they won't enter without your consent because your name is on the lease. They said you need to approve repairs. I couldn't help it, I laughed. Not out of cruelty, but out of the surreal irony. They kicked me out, but still needed me to fix the damage left behind. So, I said, where's Sarah? In the car with the kids, she muttered. They can't stay inside, it smells. Everything is wet. This is serious, Emily. I leaned back on my chair, listening to her breathe shakily through the phone. So now you want my help? I don't want it, she said sharply. I need it. That sounded more accurate. I paused for a long moment, letting her feel the silence she'd given me my whole life. Emily, she said again, softer this time. Please. I took a deep breath. Mom, you told me to get out of your house. Those were your words. You didn't ask me.
You ordered me.
You made it clear I didn't belong there. And now you want my help because it benefits you again. Do you even realize that? Silence. You can't just leave family like this, she finally whispered. You already left me, I replied. She inhaled sharply but didn't deny it. Then she tried a different angle. Think of your sister. Think of the kids. Ah yes, the guilt card. The one she played every time she wanted something. Those kids have 2 parents, I said. And Sarah is a grown woman. I'm not responsible for any of you. Emily, don't do this. But I wasn't doing anything. I was simply choosing not to be their safety net anymore. I'll think about it, I said and hung up. For the next few hours, I did nothing. I cooked lunch, watched TV, scrolled through job listings, and enjoyed the peace. For once in my life, the chaos wasn't mine to clean up. Later that evening, another knock echoed through my hallway, soft at first, then harder. I hesitated before opening the door, because I knew who it would be.
Sarah.
She stood there with messy hair, dark circles under her eyes, and a defeated look that surprised me. She wasn't holding her usual attitude. She wasn't smirking or rolling her eyes. She looked exhausted. Emily, can we talk? She asked quietly. I stepped aside and let her in. She sank onto the single couch in my small living room. For a long moment, she just stared at the floor. I'm not here to fight, she said. I know you think I'm always the golden child. And maybe I am. Mom treats me differently. I know that. I'm not clueless. It surprised me that she admitted it. But I didn't ask her to kick you out, she continued. I didn't even know she said that to you until the day we got here. When she told me you'd finally moved out, I thought you left because you wanted space, not because she pushed you. I crossed my arms. And you didn't question her? No, she said honestly. Because that's Mom. She always finds a way to make things about me. I'm not proud of that. Her words were quiet, almost ashamed. Emily, the house is a mess. The basement is ruined. The kids can't sleep there. And Mom, she's too proud to say it, but she needs your help. I need your help. I sat down across from her, watching her carefully. And what do you want from me, Sarah? She sighed. Just come to the house. Approve the repairs. Help us get through this. Please. Her voice cracked on the last word. This wasn't the arrogant sister I'd always known. This was someone overwhelmed. And yet, something inside me tightened. I remembered all the years I sat quietly while my mother sang her praises. All the times I cleaned up the house while she got to sleep in. All the moments she rolled her eyes at my goals, my life, my achievements. All the times she benefited from the double standard that crushed me. Sarah, I said carefully, I don't owe you or Mom anything. I know, she whispered, but we're asking anyway. The honesty in her voice caught me off guard. But I wasn't naive. I wasn't a doormat. I wasn't going to jump just because they decided to treat me like a human being for 5 minutes. I'll think about it, I said. And this time, she nodded, accepting that answer. When she left, I closed the door and leaned against it, exhaling deeply. They needed me. For once, the power was in my hands. And not because I wanted revenge, but because life had finally given me a moment to set boundaries. But I didn't know then that the situation at the house was about to get even worse, so bad that my mother would reach a level of desperation I had never seen in her before. And that desperation would push her to confess something I never expected. I didn't sleep much that night. Even though I had my own space now, my thoughts kept circling back to my mother's panicked voice, Sarah's cracked plea, and the mess waiting at that house. Part of me felt bad for the kids. They didn't deserve chaos. But another part, the part that had been ignored and dismissed for years, felt justified. They had treated me like an afterthought for so long that watching them realize they couldn't function without me felt like the universe balancing the scales. The next morning, I finally drove back to the house, not to help them, but to see what was really going on. When I pulled up, the sight almost startled me. The front yard was cluttered with bags, boxes, and toys scattered across the grass. Sarah's car was parked crookedly. My mother sat on the porch, elbows on her knees, head in her hands. The moment she saw me, she stood abruptly. Emily, thank God you're here. I didn't rush toward her. I didn't soften. I simply walked up the path, calm and collected. Show me, I said. Inside, the damage was worse than I expected. The kitchen sink pipe had burst and flooded the entire bottom half of the house. Water had seeped under the flooring, the cabinets were swollen, and the smell of dampness clung to everything. Towels were piled everywhere, failed attempts at stopping the flood. Why didn't you notice this earlier? I asked. We were tired, my mother said defensively. We didn't go downstairs yesterday. I raised an eyebrow. So, you kicked me out for space you didn't even bother to check? She opened her mouth to respond, but closed it again. I walked through the living room, the hallway, the basement. Every step squished under my shoes. It looked like weeks of damage packed into a single day. Sarah stood by the basement stairs, arms crossed tightly over her chest, looking lost. We can't live like this, she said quietly. I didn't reply. When I finished inspecting, I turned to both of them. You need professionals. This isn't a quick fix. My mother nodded eagerly. So you'll call them? You'll approve the repairs?
Calm down, I said.
I didn't say that. Her face dropped instantly. Emily, she whispered, please. We can't stay in a hotel forever. It's too expensive. I tilted my head.
Wait.
You're in a hotel? Yes, Sarah said, exhausted. 2 rooms. They're loud, cramped, and Mom is driving everyone insane. My mother shot her a sharp look, but Sarah didn't take it back. I exhaled slowly and leaned against the wall. Why should I help? My mother blinked as if the question offended her. Because we're family. I let out a short laugh. You only say family when you need something. When you wanted me gone, I wasn't family. When you called me a burden, I wasn't family. When you told me to pack my things, I wasn't family. So, why am I family now? She swallowed hard. Emily, I was angry. I didn't mean it. Yes, I said evenly. You did. Silence filled the room.
Thick. Heavy. Honest.
Then Sarah broke it. Mom, just tell her, she whispered. My mother shot her a warning look, but Sarah didn't back down. Tell her, she repeated. My mother's eyes darted between us, her breathing shallow. What is she talking about? I asked. My mother slowly lowered herself onto a chair, her hands trembling slightly. There's something I didn't tell you, she said in a shaky voice. About why I needed Sarah and the kids to move in. I folded my arms. She looked down at her hands. I lost my job 2 months ago. I blinked. What? I didn't tell anyone, she whispered. I didn't want you to worry. Or judge me. Judge you? I said, confused. Mom, why would I judge? She shook her head. That's not all. Another long pause. I'm behind on the mortgage. My breath caught. How behind? 3 months, she said, barely audible. If I didn't have Sarah move in, I wouldn't be able to keep the house. I didn't know what else to do. I panicked. I took it out on you. And I know it was wrong. I stared at her, feeling a mix of shock, anger, and something that surprised me, sadness. Sarah stepped forward. She didn't kick you out because she hates you. She kicked you out because she was scared. And she handled it terribly. My mother looked up, eyes watery.
I'm sorry, Emily.
Truly, I shouldn't have pushed you out. I was overwhelmed. I said awful things I didn't mean. But I'm begging you, please help us save this house.
I didn't know what to say.
All my life, I had wanted just one thing. For her to treat me like I mattered. Not like an afterthought. Not like a backup plan. Not like a placeholder. And now, for the first time, she was admitting she was wrong. But an apology didn't erase years of hurt. It didn't erase the way she had shoved me aside. It didn't erase the fact that she only came to me when she needed something. I took a slow breath. I'll think about it, I said. My mother stood quickly. Emily. No, I said firmly. I mean it. I need time. And for once, she nodded and respected it. When I walked out of the house, I didn't feel victorious. I didn't feel angry. I felt something complicated, like healing and hurt were fighting inside me. But one thing was clear. Whether I saved that house or not, I finally had a choice. And I was going to choose myself first this time. I didn't answer my mother's calls for 2 full days. Not because I wanted to punish her, but because I didn't trust myself to speak without exploding. I kept replaying everything she had said to me. Parasite. You need to leave. Your sister is coming with her kids. The more I replayed it, the clearer everything became. I hadn't overreacted. I hadn't been dramatic. I had simply protected myself from people who treated me like a burden instead of a daughter. And that realization, it hurt in a way I can't fully describe. The kind of hurt that feels heavy in your bones, like it's lived there for years. The kind you finally recognize and decide you won't carry anymore. By the 3rd day, she switched from calling to texting. Dozens of messages. First anger, then guilt-tripping, then desperation. You embarrassed your sister. The kids are upset. You should have stayed to help us. Then finally, please come home. We need to talk. I didn't reply. Instead, I sat in my new living room, small, quiet, peaceful, and thought about what I wanted my life to look like from here on out. I had spent years adjusting myself to what my family wanted me to be. The responsible one. The stable one. The one who could be pushed without pushing back. But now I had done something I never had the courage to do before. I chose myself. And as strange as it felt, it also felt right. On day 4, there was a knock at my door. A soft, hesitant one. I already knew who it was. I opened the door slowly, expecting yelling or tears or accusations. Instead, my mother just stood there, quiet, clutching her purse like it was a lifeline. She looked smaller than I remembered. Older too, as if the past week had aged her. Her voice cracked the moment she said my name. Emily, can we talk? I let her in. Not because she deserved forgiveness, but because I deserved closure. She looked around the apartment, her eyes softening with something like guilt. You really moved out, she whispered, almost to herself. I sat on the couch and motioned for her to sit too. She didn't. She just stood there, wringing her hands. I shouldn't have said what I said. That word. I don't know why it came out. I was stressed, and your sister? Mom. I cut in gently. You didn't call me a parasite because you were stressed. You said it because you meant it. She froze, like the truth had hit her straight in the chest. I didn't mean it like that, she whispered, but even she didn't sound convinced. I stayed quiet. Silence made her uncomfortable, and part of me needed her to sit in that discomfort for once. Finally, she sighed, defeated. Your sister, she doesn't have anyone else. Her husband left. She's struggling with the kids, and I thought you'd just make room for her. You always help. You always adjust. She looked at me, eyes watery. I just assumed you'd be okay with it. And there it was. The root of everything. You assumed, I repeated. You didn't ask me. You didn't consider me. You just expected me to give up my home, my privacy, my peace, because I'm the one who's used to carrying everything. I swallowed the lump in my throat. And when I said no, when I questioned it, you didn't treat me like a daughter. You treated me like an inconvenience. She covered her face with her hands. I'm sorry, she sobbed quietly. I really am. And I believed her. I truly did. But an apology doesn't erase a lifetime of being pushed aside. I stood up. She looked up at me with hopeful eyes, expecting me to say I'd come home, that we'd go back to how things were. But I didn't. Mom, I said softly, I forgive you. I really do. But I'm not coming back. Her face fell, not in anger, but in acceptance. A painful kind of acceptance. This is my home now, I continued. This peace I found, I'm not giving it up again. I'll visit sometimes. I'll help when I can, not when I'm expected to. But I'm done being the one who carries everything alone. She nodded slowly, tears streaming down her cheeks. I understand, she whispered, her voice trembling. I hope one day you'll come back. I didn't make promises I couldn't keep. I simply walked her to the door. She hugged me, tight, emotional, like she knew this was a turning point we couldn't undo. There was love in that hug, but also regret. And when she left, I didn't feel guilty. I felt lighter.
Calm.
Like I had finally exhaled after years of holding my breath. Later that night, I sat on my couch, the soft glow of a lamp filling the room. My phone buzzed with a message from my sister. A long one, full of apologies, explanations, promises to handle her own situation without dragging me into it. Maybe one day we'd rebuild our relationship too. Maybe not. But right now, I wasn't rushing toward reconciliation. I was learning to choose myself, day by day. For the first time in a long time, I felt proud of myself. Not for achieving something big, or helping someone else, or sacrificing something, but for doing the opposite. For drawing a line. For protecting my own peace. And I realized something important. Revenge isn't always loud or destructive. Sometimes revenge is simply taking back your life. Setting boundaries. Refusing to let people treat you like you're disposable. Sometimes, the most powerful revenge is finally choosing you. And that's exactly what I did. If you want more real-life revenge stories like this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for Revenge Files.